the episode is like all domain, all public domain
Yeah,
karaoke.
we are
Bob
live right now.
actually.
So now we got to go back through and do all the shares and all that stuff. And so anyway, let's let people get on. Um, I'm
Should
gonna
I do
share it again.
original content or licensed content? It was like all content in this video is your original. You have explicit permission or a license from the rights owner to use this content.
I don't know yet because I'd have to look and I can't think about that right now.
Okay.
So anyway, no one's watching yet. Okay, we got 3. Okay, so here's what happened, people. We apparently we got a Facebook strike. Our broadcast was taken down because I used my brother's music, and which he gave me permission to use. So I don't know. We got kicked off and didn't realize that. I thought it was funny that we only had like one viewer. Yeah. I don't even know where we left off when we got kicked out. I guess it doesn't matter. We were talking about. I think we talked about mediums, and no one got to see that. So it's I'm trying to like find a nice place to pick it back up.
Yeah.
If everybody
have
chimes
a lot of
in,
editing to do.
Yeah. Chime in and let us know like where we cut out.
Yeah, because it was just like a drop, but it was like I just thought it was something with Facebook because I was able to still post and everything.
So whoever this Regal Entertainment is, I better not say anything bad or we'll get taken down again.
Yeah, it's like it's like whoever this Regal Entertainment. It's Regal Entertainment Inc. But wait, just now they released the claim on us. One previous message. There are changes to your video. One or more actions were applied. Changes were removed. All changes were removed from your video. So apparently they must have listened to it and realized it was not theirs.
One thing too that I hope is like I hope they don't go. I'll have to check it out later. We can talk about all this.
Yeah, they released the claim. So apparently they must have thought it was somebody must have said, "Hey, this is your music," and then when they listened to it, it's not. Yeah. So
what do they do? Do they have like someone? Do they have a bot that just listens to every single?
It's an algorithm. Yeah. Like, dude, if we were to put like a Led Zeppelin song at the beginning of this,
it would mark.
I guarantee it would strike every time.
Yep.
I'd get, and if you get, and the thing is, you got to be really careful because YouTube, you get 3 strikes and your channel's gone forever. Like you really, really got to be careful. That's why I'm usually, that's why I'm using my brother's song and not a Led Zeppelin song or a Tool song or something like that. So
hey, Adam, we actually had to end and restart. That's why we had to restart it back up because it completely blocked us because we had one. It was just me, and I think because I was under Boo Productions, that's why it did it. But yeah, so we're back up, and
so anyway, where did we leave off? We
were talking about mediums, and
let's go back. Let's go back to let's talk about the Collingwood thing again because I don't think anybody was watching when we were talking about that. So just to get back caught up, so Jerry basically, he's a skeptical guy. But he is a believer, but he's really never had experiences.
Yeah, I've never been slapped in the face by anything.
Right.
So I've never seen a shadow figure. I've never experienced anything like that at this point.
Have you ever like seen one and just like blew it off as well? It was probably this.
I freak myself out more going into my basement pretty much on a nightly basis, thinking what could be staring. You know what I mean? I think your brain has so much power, and
that's exactly what it is.
So, I mean,
well, a lot of times too, like on an investigation or a ghost hunt or something like that, somebody go, "Oh my God, my hair's standing up." And sure as shit, every time mine starts to stand up too.
See, because he says that and then I get a chill.
And then it's like, well, is something in here with us or am I doing that because, it, like I said, the power of suggestion, it is very powerful. But anyway, tell us about your experience at the Collingwood and exactly what was that stuff.
Back when Scott and Wendy were doing the pretty much monthly ghost hunts. It must have been 2018, 2019. And that's when I started going there. So I was probably there about 4 or 5 times. I went to Tower Paranormals. They hosted a couple ghost hunts. I went once by myself. My brother was supposed to go, but he ended up getting sick and couldn't come. So I went by myself and hung out with Scott and Wendy. So it was cool because you got to kind of explore the building. And I think this is what you and I were I was talking to you about briefly, like when we talked at one of the previous events was I've been on 3 building tours of that place with 3 different tour guides, and I've had 3 different stories about different places. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Like the body room and different.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
so funny that depending on who you hear it from,
Yep.
it just goes to show you that I don't even think they know in some
There
cases.
there is a lot of rumors that go around about that
Yeah.
place, and it's but did you ever take a tour with that older guy? That
Yes, I did. That was the best.
Those-
That guy, I
yeah,
think, knows
that's-
everything.
Because he's the one that clearly said that there was never any bodies stored in that room.
Okay.
He said he's the one that said that.
Okay.
But because Tandy, I think his name's Tandy.
I don't remember his name.
Because what they did, my first experience at Collingwood was they were doing like Halloween tours. So I guess back in the day they used to actually do a haunted house there, and they stopped doing that, and they did like just a Halloween tour, and it wasn't anything. It was just they just took you around the building. You know, I took took the wife and kids, and it was really cool. We got to see a lot of the place, and actually, the first time I went to Collingwood was a Tom Waits. It was a Tom Waits tribute band from Milwaukee. It was really cool. They they did a show based on one of Tom Waits's albums, and it was like a carnival type sideshow type show.
Huh.
But at any rate, that was my first experience going to the theater, and then we did the tour, and then I started going to the ghost hunts. But yeah, so long story short, went to a couple ghost hunts, took my daughter a couple times, and the one place that we really think we might have had an experience, other than in the basement, like I said, we had some weird feelings in the basement. We had some hits on the EMF meter, but primarily is that room where supposedly the nuns would hang out, or the teachers would, when it was like a girls' school or something.
Yeah, it was
like almost like
Ursula.
it was like a divided area. So like the piano area with the floor that always creaks, that would be where the students could hang out, and then behind those doors was where the staff or the nuns or whoever would hang
basically
out.
The second floor. It's behind the balcony, right?
Yeah.
It kind of curves along the curve of the theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all those rooms that are behind the balcony.
And it's all the theater's all concrete, which is amazing because they didn't want it to be wood because it would a fire hazard, right?
Have you ever been above the theater?
Yes, I have. I've been up there as well. Yeah.
And that's all the wood.
All the pulleys for the chandeliers, the change the light bulbs and so forth. And there's actually like two different passageways to get in there, on either side.
Yep.
And even the nun cells, the so-called nun cells.
Yeah, on that
there's different
so tiny.
There's different stories on that too, because I think when I went on the tour with Tandy, I think he's the one that said it was really a place where the nuns would go to when they were sick. Yeah. So it was never permanent dwellings. It was more if they were sick and infirm and they didn't want to be with the rest of the staff in their barracks, or not barracks, but their dormitory or their rooms. They would go there because I think the way he explained it was that when some of those older Catholic nuns, and I'm not trying to speak for Catholic nuns, but when they got to the point where they felt that they were ready to pass on, they didn't want to go to doctors, they didn't want to do anything like that. They just wanted to go to a place where they could slowly
just be quiet and
pass on. And so that's what I've heard was what those nun cells, quote unquote, were always used for. So
and they are small rooms. They are very, very small rooms.
And then the last time we went, right before the pandemic, was with the convention they used to have there, the Toledo Paranormal or whatever it was called. And I got to go on a tour. I did the VIP on that one.
Okay.
And we got to do a tour of the building again, and there was 2 or 3 rooms that they opened up that they'd never really opened up before. So that green room right next to the stage that they open up, they have like people selling stuff in there during the convention.
Yeah.
But that's supposedly relatively active because that used to be the room where they would lay out the bodies for if there was a funeral.
Because that's part of the Gerber house, though, right? Technically, or not?
No,
isn't that kind of where it connects?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's
close.
No.
It's close, but it's part of the theater. It was like the green room for the theater where the actors would hang out.
Well, there's one,
and they still use that area.
There's one guy watching that knows all about that place because he was involved in filming that. And maybe Adam, you can give us an update as to when that movie's going to come out. But the Booth brothers were here and they filmed a movie called Never Blink at Collingwood, and that was over the summer, I think it was. So if Adam's still in here, he can update us because it's really a cool concept, and the fact that it was a they always tend to film in haunted locations. And, Adam definitely had some encounters there. In fact, I asked him about one, and I didn't ask permission to share the story, so I won't. But I've got a connection to that building as well. And so I told Adam, I was like, okay, dude, you gotta find out what the hell's there. What is in that basement? What? And so, he told me some stuff, and, but he definitely had paranormal encounters in that place.
And then the dressing rooms that they currently use, those are usually locked. Those are usually locked up. So we were able to go in there.
Yep.
And then the other thing was I guess when it first became the Collingwood Arts Center and they actually let people live there, one of the people lived in that steeple, the fourth floor attic with the very narrow staircase. So they opened that thing up, and we were able to go in there and walk around a little bit. I mean, we didn't do any investigations up there,
right?
But we were able to go up and see it because that's primarily what I wanted to see.
Is that where all the props are too? Is that?
No, this is just.
Oh, okay.
This was just an artist studio that someone basically lived there, and eventually they were able to get people. They were able to somehow get the people who were actually living there to no longer live there. Whether it was
I remember the story. Yeah, it was
like that.
It was like an older couple, and they finally got them to not want that one, and they finally got them to move down to like one of the normal studio levels.
Is that the area? Okay, so there's a room right off of one of the elevators that everybody gets like that funhouse effect. You get off that room and man, you are disoriented. But as soon as you pass through the doorway into where I think you're talking about, maybe I'm totally wrong.
No, what I'm talking about here is it's actually the Gerber. I think it's the Gerber house. It's the steeple area on the Gerber house, like the 4th or 5th floor.
Yeah.
I've never been up in there.
But cool to go to. And again, I'm not speaking on any kind of authority. I'm going off of three different people's stories. So just to make sure anyone starts to call my bluff.
Yeah, because I believe it was the caretakers
before we get a Facebook strike.
Yeah, it was the caretakers. And then, like I said, they finally got them to move over to the other side, and they ended up being the caretakers on that side then. But they were getting older, and then they finally got them
I can't imagine living. The space is so cramped.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very it'd be a cool place to visit. But I can't see spending a lot of time in there. Yeah. So those are the 3 areas that we got to see at that point. But
so what other kind of places have you been to? I mean, you kind of gave me a little bit of a list when we were doing our little pre-show, and it sounds like
like I was saying, a lot of the places that I'd been to, like I worked in a building that's here in Toledo that's supposedly haunted, which is what I would call the old St. Anthony Villa building on Central Avenue, which is now Discovery Academy. But I was a teacher there for 4 years.
Yep.
And I heard plenty of stories, from the staff that worked overnight, talking about apparitions and shadow figures, but nothing I ever experienced.
Yep.
And then Fort Meigs, I've been there countless times. Went there a couple times for ghost stories, the ghost stories they do at Halloween. But
I didn't know they did that.
Never on it's the same stories a lot of times over and over. So you go once, then you should wait about 4 or 5 years.
And then any other battlefield,
you might get a little bit of a different story.
Any other battlefield that you go to has the same stories, probably, or fort?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and then we went to Gettysburg when my wife and I weren't man and wife. We were first couple of years of our dating, and we went to Gettysburg. We did like one of those ghost walks, which was cool because you got to see got to hear about a lot of the stories about the different buildings, like where bodies were stored and
or taken in makeshift
temporary hospitals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine that he went there and he took a picture of a historical marker. He was just taking a picture of the marker, and then when he got it developed, and it wasn't a digital camera, I think it was before digital cameras were really popular, so it was an actual film camera, and there's clearly a man and a woman there that are transparent, like standing right in front of the marker. You can see right through them, and it's like, holy shit. So he blew that up, and that's his favorite ghost picture.
Yeah, there's a lot of compelling stuff you see coming from Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I think the most recent one was the soldiers walking
across the road or something.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That's a place I'd like to go. Because I've gone there when I was younger, but it's like I always got it was a eerie feeling when you're there, but I didn't realize why I felt eerie. But now I would love to go back there
I think a lot of what is there though is residual. That's definitely a hot spot for residual energy. I'd love to know the makeup of they say that Toledo's built on limestone, and this whole area is, and that's why that there's a lot of activity because that and Harold did an experiment where he he actually charged different materials, and they hold energy for a long time afterwards. Like if you know, and I wonder if that's a similar situation, if it's built on limestone and it had all that energy that it absorbed and it's just not going away. So
yeah, I know. I can't think of their names. I'll come back to that. But
Right.
yeah, so another place I went to was Old Fort Niagara in New York. So that was one where, again, took the family. We just did a tour of the building, and then I come home, and a couple years later, you see a show on one of the channels where they're investigating the place and talking about all the stories that happened there. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
well, it sounds like you've been around the block a little bit. So you're coming on with Boo Productions. What do you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you looking to have an experience? Do you want to help people? Do you want to all of the above? I mean, what are some of your goals in doing this?
Yeah, I think all of the above. I think it's a good portion of it is self discovery. Getting more experience, seeing different things, and that sort of thing. But yeah, also it's always appealing to try to help somebody. So I think that's part of it as well. But it's I would say it's 60-40 though. It's more fascination and being able to look at places more closely that you've always wanted to get into. That was always the Collingwood thing, right? I mean, just the building is amazing, and just thinking about what it could have been if the Ursuline order would have been able to accomplish what they wanted to with that. I mean, it was only a quarter done. That was only one of the 4 buildings that were supposed to go up, right? So it's that sort of thing is fascinating.
Yeah, and really that's where Boo Productions is too, is that we love to tell a story. I'm all about the finding the stories out and the hauntings of popular buildings and things like that. But then again, I do think you have to give back and do the private cases where people are in trouble. I mean, I've seen videos of a kid getting picked up out of bed, and this isn't like on paranormal TV shows. This is like, here's my phone, here's this video of my camera of my kid getting picked up and dropped. Like, I mean, that, you got to help people like that. So that's definitely one of our missions.
Be a sink or swim moment, I think, too.
Yep.
Because you always you watch those old ghost hunters where they experience something and then they start running away. It's like, well, that's what you're there for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why are you running away?
There's been a couple times, honestly, there was a couple times where I've ran away. I mean, it's just, there was one at, okay, I'm allowed to talk about this, but there's certain things I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But I'm working on a documentary. And so I started watching the old footage, and it's a case that Togs has been on for 10 years. And it's had like 3 flare-ups, and I think it's kind of getting active again now, but there's new people involved in the house. And I mean, it's still one current owner that has been there throughout the 10 years, but he's got a girlfriend and a kid that are living there now. But it's that's been like, so I'm working on this documentary, and like I said, looking at all the old footage and all this stuff, I'm thinking, man, this is going to be probably a 5 or 6 hour documentary. So it's going to be a series of some sort. But it is a case where Harold has been in it for, like I said, almost 10 years, but it is like, he's helping them. But yet the owner wants his story told, because I got to thinking about it the other night. This is almost really like I would imagine what the Amityville house was like. Like, these people were so, like, it ruined their lives to a point. I mean, the one guy is putting the pieces back together and stuff. And I know his ex-wife is too, but it really, the house will get you. It sounds so stupid and crazy, but the house it'll cause fear in you that, like, and that was one of the places I was scared, and that's why I brought that up. But like, there was one night that, like, I'd been in the attic many, many times when we investigated there, but there was one night, it's like, there's something on the other side of that door telling me, you're not coming up here tonight. And it's, it was, I don't know.
I'm laughing because my scary story that I run from is at Collingwood.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to hear that.
In the basement, Jeff and I, it was actually on a date that we went on. We went on one of the public.
You might have been there.
Yeah, you might have been.
It was
a public ghost hunt. And we went downstairs. We were downstairs and I just was like, I'm not feeling right. So we went and we did some more, came back down. And when we came down, Jeff had to go get his recorder. And so he had me stand there. I just was like, well,
I set one in the dead room.
Yeah. And so I just was like, I'll just stand right here because I just didn't feel comfortable going over there. As I'm standing there, I'm like getting like this really cold feeling. And then all of a sudden I feel like these blackish gray swirls are swirling around me and they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And it was harder and harder for me to breathe. And so I was like, I can't do this. And I just started running to get up the steps. And then when we got up steps, I mean, I was so emotional. And I mean, I lost it. It was just really bad. I couldn't, I was beside myself. I couldn't do it. I was like, can we? And so we ended up leaving because I just could not.
And with my history of that place, I was like, I'm not doing this again. We left. I mean, we weren't even there for an hour.
No, we were there. We were there about an hour. Cause then after that happened, I kind of tried to calm down. We tried to go back like through the upstairs into the balcony. And I was like, nope. I can't do this. And so we ended up leaving. But then at a convention, I went again and I was like, all right, I'm going to try this again. This time I bubbled myself and I said, I give no one permission to touch me.
But so you really didn't know about protections and things like that.
Well, no, but I mean, I just basically was like, I said, I give nobody no permission to touch me when I go down there. Jeff did the same thing. He said, no one has permission to touch her while we're down there. So we go down there. Jeff's maybe 2 steps, if that, in front of me. And we're walking from the Gerber house side down through. Mm-hmm. And I swear it was like a log this big. And he walked right past it and I tripped. And I said, it felt like a log. And I'm looking back. I'm like, literally tripped over nothing, but it felt like a log that I had just tripped over. And I was like, all right. I was like, no, we're just going up. So I love Collingwood, and I've seen my friends have been in multiple musicals and plays there. I just don't like going in the basement. I'll go anywhere else in that building, although the nuns do scare me in the stairways on the other side of the where the studios and that are. Mm-hmm. When we went on the public tour, I got scared. I don't know how many times by the statues of the nuns in the
and the one that Thor had.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Creature from the movie The Village. They got right outside their office, and you open those doors, and it's like and right there. It's like,
that got me too. But the nun statue's going down because you don't expect it, and then it's right there when you turn to go down the step. I was like, yeah. So that doesn't bother me. But it was the basement. I just don't go there anymore.
Hey Adam, if you can type in the comments, I'm sure you had it's not scary to you because you're you're Krampus, for Christ's sake. But, share a little story in the comments about something that you experienced while you guys were filming there, and I know a lot of people have heard my stories because, like I said, I have a connection to that building. A friend of mine was choked out. Like you literally saw maroon fingerprints on her neck. This was at the end of a big buildup. It's a long story, but that was at one of the paranormal conventions. The first one I went to.
Yeah, I saw that video. That's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. If it's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
Probably not, because I don't.
Oh, might be.
Oh, you know what? You did see it, and we'll talk about that off air, as to where you saw it and why, and how I got credit for all that stuff that I didn't get. But
yeah, it's a cool building. I mean, I think there was a lot. I mean, that one room underneath the steps is always interesting. Where people broke in and kept drawing pentagrams on the floor. I mean. Again, it's the power of the mind, right? If you convince yourself, I mean, and that's what I experience in a lot of the public ghost hunts I've been on. It's just people go in wanting to find something, and they're going to find something. They're going to believe that they see something.
And the problem with the public ones is, like you said, there's so many. You said you went to the Spaghetti Warehouse. How many people did they have at that event?
It was like close to 40.
Yeah, see,
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You really,
we were with
30 to 40. Yeah,
we were like with 6 people, and it was a lot.
Well, it wasn't 6 people. Wasn't too much. It was the staffing.
That
was
oh yeah. Well, the weird thing with that building though too is that there's literally nothing on the 3rd and 4th floor. It's just empty, flat warehouse.
Hollow, echoey.
Yeah, echoey.
Sound resonating. Yep. But you know what? That 3rd floor is. There's a video on the YouTube page about the third floor with that Estes method.
Mhm.
And that was very active when we were
Yes.
we were basically told that nothing ever happens up there.
And it's funny because I drove past there, and now since we've had that, when we did that session, and I always peer up that way, and I always feel like there's someone watching down from
They
those
got those
windows
dummies.
now.
They got those dummies in the window.
No, it's not the same. I mean,
know.
it's
I'm
like
just saying.
it's just,
Yep.
but it feels like somebody's just. I mean, it's like they know that I can see them, and it's funny because we went to dinner there, and Adam went like the week before us, and we were like, guess, and we took a picture and guess where we're at, and he was like, yeah, you know who's sitting up there, and it was like, yeah, and so it's just crazy because we told Adam kind of his first time, it was his first time eating there, I believe. And so he had not known. So we didn't really tell him about some of the stuff until he started telling us stuff. And we're like, yep. And so, but it's like every time you go there now, knowing that some of the stuff that we've had happen, it all makes sense when you go there now.
Mhm.
So
What do you think? Actually, you're a professional researcher, aren't you? Isn't that part of your job?
Well, I'm in market research, so
Oh,
it's
So it's a
we
little
do
different
we do
than
surveys.
it's a little different than haunted
Yeah,
location
no,
research.
I have absolutely no credentials
yeah.
in any kind of paranormal stuff. Yeah,
Well, shit.
sorry,
I'm just kidding. No, it's really like,
but who does really? I mean,
yeah, it's really like, honestly, we did. Okay, what building was it? I don't know. We were doing research for something. This was a long time ago when I first started. And there's some books at the library that like they're just like picture books, old historic picture books. And it was for the Commodore Perry. And so like they're not cataloged and you can't find them in the computer like, okay, here's some info on the Commodore Perry. It's just you just got to open these books up and start looking at them. And I know too that a guy that another story that I'm working on involves the mafia stuff. That one's kind of on hold right now because we still got to do some more filming. But the one guy told me he went through every newspaper from like 1870 to like the 1970s or 80s. Every freaking Toledo Blade, Toledo Newsbee, all of that stuff. Like, can you imagine just being that dedicated to research that you go to the library every day and all you do is look at the newspapers? That is crazy.
yeah, that's dedication with a
But
capital
his
Z.
book, as far as like the casinos and gambling clubs and stuff like that, Toledo, like there's no one else that's done research like that. Like he's the guy. He knows it all. It's
Yeah, I mean, I know I see advertisements for a book about the Toledo Windsor corridor during the Prohibition days. I mean, the area just has so much history,
Yeah.
There's so much here, and even looking up the St. Anthony Villa building,
Yeah.
it's like what I read, and again, it's what I read. I don't know if it's true or not, but back when they had when it was still a canal before the Anthony Wayne Trail was the Anthony Wayne Trail, well,
Yep.
it was the Erie Canal. It
Mhm.
flooded and caused a mass cholera outbreak in Toledo, and a lot of adults passed away from that, and
Yeah.
that's what started the whole orphanage, because a lot of kids had lost their parents from that cholera outbreak from 1850s or 1860s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that's what started the whole orphanage, from what I found online, whether
Yeah.
or not it's true or not. But
Yep.
but
And
and then just the Black Swamp too, the whole Black Swamp and the draining of the Black Swamp, and there's a lot of history here for sure.
That was another. Well, you need to stop. Like you're being obnoxious tonight, worse than normal. But yeah, I did. That's another thing that we've all gone to the Haunted Main School in Bowling Green, and that's a big part of what could be haunting that building is that they basically filled that in to make
Boo.
that area inhabitable,
Mhm.
and it was so there was a lot of that.
Yeah, Bowling
plague
Green has
stuff
to be smack dab in the middle of the swamp.
Yep. And some guy invented, and I've got segments of that, film done. That's another one that's just, I'm not done yet, but that's part of it is the guy that invented this machine that, to drain the swamp basically.
Yep. Yeah, we should talk about that offline. There's actually, I do play some role playing games, and I've done some adventures that take place at that time period. And actually, it's one of the adventures that I wrote kind of deals with that very subject.
Mhm.
So
We're gonna
stuff. Yeah.
definitely, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask them because we're just sitting here, just casual
Yeah.
show, just BSing.
And getting to know Jerry.
Yep, and getting to know Jerry. What is
Actually, I don't know if everybody was on that we
yeah, that's
introduced
right,
that
because we got
because
cut
we
off.
got cut off. But Jerry is
We
our
did.
new member of Boo Productions Paranormal,
Yep.
and so he is
I just
no.
it just real quick overview again on that is just Jerry took Harold's class at Owens, and I just like you can really tell when someone's going to be good at something, and I think Jerry's like analytical. He's skeptical, but he believes, which is important, because there's no point in I don't want to hire a skeptical person if they have no belief that all this stuff is real anyway, But let's get to Renee's question real quick.
All right, Renee is asking, what do you guys do for protection that maybe I'm not doing?
I'm going to let you answer
Yeah.
that one.
What I do, definitely sage. I sage I haven't been saging here for a little bit because Jeff's here, but I do sage. I do sage my room.
I say don't sage my office.
Yeah, I don't sage the office. I do sage my bedroom. Probably the one thing I do sage is my bedroom the most, because that's where I have my most experiences are in my bedroom. So I always do that. But I always I look upon white light protection, and I also will bubble myself. I do bubble my house. Minus the ghost office. That's the only room in the whole house that is not bubbled.
But we still even bubbled, it's weird because we'll still have when I lived across the street, it was that way too. It was like we had stuff happen for a couple weeks at a time, and then it goes away for a month.
Jeff did, but Jeff does. I mean, I don't bubble against negative. I bubble against negative energy and negative. I don't bubble against positive. I allow positive because I do have a couple shadows that are in my house that I don't want to be gone. One of them is my son, so I don't want that shadow gone. And the other one is a new one. I haven't discussed. I won't make a shadow go away until I figure out what it is. And then if I realize then I might say I don't want you here. But I mean, and yeah, as Harold said, it's with the intention too.
Yes.
If your intention, you have to make the intention of when you're saying the prayers, to ward off whatever you're warding off, that you have to have the intention has to be there. Otherwise, if you're just saying them, it's not going to work.
Well, not only that too, I've watched a lot of Chris McKinnell stuff, and he's very, we all know who he is and all that stuff. But basically, sage with no intention does work for a little while for energy.
But you're going to have to do it every couple hours.
He said it lasts 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's got some kind of background knowledge on that and reason why he says that.
I can see that though, because I know that, I know if when I was really having some issues, I was saging every day, even though I had the intentions there, I was saging every day because it was that the negativity was so bad in my house. I just needed to get it out. And finally I felt comfortable enough going back to saging, not as often, but you have to have the intentions there. Even if you're not saying the prayers or anything you do, you have to have the positive intentions there, and you have to have the intent, you have to seriously mean what you're doing.
It was explained to me too that the some of the prayers that you read while you bless a house or cleanse a house or even your own house, it's not so much the words that you're saying, it creates focus. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of them, they're almost like chants.
Yeah.
So it's it just creates that focus, which gives you the intentions that.
Yeah. And use them as guides. I mean, you should actually speak from the heart and speak what.
Yeah, I never read a prayer if I bless anything.
I do sometimes, depending on what kind of blessing or what kinds of cleansing I'm helping with, I will. But for here at home, I don't go by one specific. Even when I sage someone after an event, if they want to be saged, I don't follow any one routine. My big thing is I depend on archangels and white light. Those are my big, and my intentions are always to the highest, as high as I can get them.
Do you ever, Jerry, sage your house or cleanse your house or anything like that? No.
No,
you might start.
Yeah, you start bringing stuff home. You might have to. I'm really, you know what though? I'm really surprised with all the haunted places that you've been to and all these ghost, like tours and things like that. I'm surprised you've never brought
Yeah.
anything home.
But maybe he has and he doesn't know.
What about you said your daughter kind of goes on some of this stuff with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, we
Do
haven't
they ever have experiences or
not that I know of, not that she's talked about. Yeah, I mean, I always say a prayer before and after. I do have I joke that I'm in the Catholic Alumni Association, so I'm still a practicing Catholic. Just I don't really go to. I'm not a practicing Catholic. I'm a Catholic by history and by you know what I mean. So I still pray. I still pray. I still follow the rules, but I just don't go to church every week, right?
Yep.
And don't tell me don't ask me when my last confession was, but yeah, I mean, it still sticks. So I think that might be part of it. My faith might be a little bit of an armor. I don't know. It seems like
I personally believe that
some people are more open to things, and I think that's what they experience. And there might be stuff slapping me in the face, and I'm just not noticing it. Maybe I've set up some boundaries without even knowing about it, right?
Because I do have a belief that, that as a Christian, that the Bible tells us, and pastors throughout my history of going to church and going to Christian school and all that stuff, like you cannot be possessed as a Christian. So that's like something that's always in the back of my head, so I don't have that fear. You know what I'm saying? And I think like what you just said with
leave him alone.
It is an armor.
I think it
is an armor. Your belief is an armor. What were you going to say? I didn't mean.
I was going to say. So I mean, and this shows you that stuff can happen. We don't talk about very often, but I did get scratched I've been scratched twice now in the house, and we honestly think there is something attached to Jeff. But it doesn't show.
Not attached, but maybe following me around.
Yeah, following, but it's not completely. I mean, following, because one time we were goofing around and we were just like wrestling. And then later that night, like I went to go take a shower and I had scratch marks. And we could not recreate the scratch marks I had.
It wasn't anything I did. It wasn't.
It wasn't the dogs. It couldn't have been anything because
clearly defined with no fade.
Yeah. And actually I have a very faint scar from the one. And so we think that there may be something. We think there might be something that likes Jeff that just hasn't really appeared. But
I'd show the picture, but we'd get our second Facebook strike, right? 2 in one show. That'd be awesome.
And so we just so then I'm like, okay. So then I was panicking. So I'm like, all right, we're calling Adam, we're calling Carmen's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It never happened again. But now another time. We were goofing around, just playing around, and I was picking on Jeff, and then I got another scratch on my arm. So it's like, okay, so we're thinking that, and then I'm like, maybe it's the shadow I'm seeing, and I just don't know what the shadow is yet because
I must be like Adam. I must have a spiritual girlfriend.
I know. I'm telling you because it's just strange because, and it's funny because Jeff likes to sleep on the couch. And I tend to see it in the back room. That shadow is in the back room, and it doesn't seem to be anywhere else but in that back room. And it almost like plays a little peekaboo. And so I'm like, all right. So, but I'm starting to really think that it might be. I said, if I have another scratch that happens like that, then it's definitely something that it's.
Well, I don't know if you saw Adam's comments. He said that he had a nun following.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adam is like the ladies like to follow him, the older ladies, because he's got it at the mill. He's got a girlfriend. He's now, it looks like at the
he brings her flowers too.
Yeah. So Adam has his little girlfriends there.
This is a good point too, and this could be a really good conversation. So Renee is saying, I'm actually a witch. I don't believe in Satan or demons, but I do believe in dark energy and dark spirit. So obviously, like if you're a Muslim, there's no thing as demons or Satan, I don't think, in the Muslim religion. I really think demons are called different things throughout religion. Jerry, do you have any kind of definition for what a demon is? I want to ask you before I give mine.
I think that there's something that's evil out there. Mm-hmm. Personally, I don't know how to explain it. I don't think you can put it down on paper and rate them from 1 to 6 or anything like that.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion. But at the same time, I'm not naive enough to believe that I think sometimes I don't know how this is going to sound. It's almost like you'd be too close-minded if you go too far into your religion, right? And you I think that kind of that's naive, right?
Well, I've got a,
you're not going to have all
very
the
strong
answers. Yeah.
Christian religion base, in my background, but yet at the last paranormal convention we went to, I bought the blue book on witchcraft because I really think that, like, in order to be a paranormal investigator, you have to know about everything else.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like reading the Quran is a great idea, Yeah. Renee is also saying that the Muslims believe in a jinn,
Mhm.
which that's basically the Muslim version of a demon. So I really think a demon is a fallen angel. This is okay. I'm going to just give my opinion. A demon is a fallen angel that has never walked the earth in human form. And they are very evil, and they did follow Satan, who thought he was greater than God. And I do believe that, like I said, that all different religions and belief systems and things like that have their own version of that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Renee said, it's a jinn in the Muslim religion. Do Native Americans have?
That
I mean,
would
I
be an
know they
Adam
believe
question.
yeah, Adam, answer that. I know they believe in evil spirits, but would it be the same thing as what we call a demon?
Enough.
Boo is being horrible tonight.
She has so Boo's got a little issue of fur here. She's getting her
Yeah,
winter
she's getting a
coat,
winter coat. She's got a little
and
flubber.
so she gets like flubber, and so she is like nonstop wanting to have her butt scratched and her back scratched to get rid of this fur, and it's like as soon as you stop, it's like she's like at you. So
Here's Adam here chiming in on what's scratching you. There's no such thing as a following spirit. Okay, it is attached to a certain point, but it has a tie to you, Jeff. Any clues, Adam, as to what it is? Is it a family member or I don't know.
I don't
I'm not
know.
trying to put you on the spot, but
but we
I
just
can't
know
imagine-
it's something.
none of my family members would scratch you.
No,
They're
I
just-
don't think
I
so.
really think my
Stop.
Boo, get down.
You're gonna get loud.
My family would like you, and I don't think anybody's that protective of me that they're gonna. Harold says it's Zozo. Oops, we're not even supposed to say that name. Here's a funny story.
Say
This
it
is a
3
wedding
times at
story.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, like Beetlejuice. We won't say that one either. We don't feed Boo after dark
No.
or get her wet. She might turn into a German Shepherd that kills people. Who knows? But no. Here's a funny story. Should I tell the whole thing? Hang on one second.
That's when you should play that public domain.
Oh, you can
Music.
tell that one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this won't get us a Facebook strike, but this is a funny story.
This might get an in-law strike.
So everybody that went to our wedding knows we're definitely going to get an in-law strike, but they'll probably never watch our show anyway, so I don't
No.
care. So we had a Ouija board set up as part of our centerpiece on our table. And one rule that Dana had and Carmen told me no, and everybody said, do not put that planchette on the Ouija board. Well, at some point in the night, somebody put the planchette on the Ouija board. So as we were cleaning everything up, our son-in-law decides he's gonna move the planchette around on the Ouija board and start fucking with it. So I went up to him. I'm like, dude, you can't freaking do that. Like, you cannot, like, we have to end this. Like, you have to do the goodbye. And so I start to freak him out a little bit. His mom is standing there looking at me like she is going to kill me because I put her little Tyler in danger. Like she was going to murder me because I had a Ouija board and Tyler played with it. It was my fault. It was funny. So
that's why. Well, and it's like, everybody, our standing joke is, if Jeff wants to play with the Ouija board, Adam has to help him.
what's your thoughts about that, Jerry? Ouija.
I don't know. I've never interacted with one before. I've heard plenty of stories from both ways. I listen to Coast a lot, so there's a lot of people that come on and they talk about the evils of the Ouija board, and they talk about how it's just a tool. It doesn't really open up portals and so forth. Again, just something I really don't have any experience with.
I've always done a casual survey with this. Do you personally know anybody that has had a bad Ouija board experience?
I do not know.
Do you know people that their friend or their sister or somebody they know had a bad experience with one?
No, I don't know anyone personally. No.
You're disproving my theory.
I'm sorry.
It seems to be like, in my experience anyway, that nobody I know has had a bad experience, but a lot of people I know somebody that has. And I just wonder if that's kind of how the legend of the Ouija board is, become such an evil thing.
I mean, I have vague memories of when I was a kid because I was like the youngest of a lot of large family, like a large extended family. So I had 30 some cousins, and I was one of the youngest. So we used to go to family parties, and the older cousins would all, this is probably when I was like 4 or 5. So they were probably close to teenagers, or into their teens. And we did a lot of stuff in the room playing around with that sort of thing. I'm sure someone had a Ouija board at some point, but there was nothing that I recall that happened from it.
Yeah, we have so Adam says, and he's right, it's a communication tool, but if you know how to use it, it can be safe. But he also knows people that have had bad experiences. And I really think I'm of the opinion almost that I don't know that it's so much the Ouija board, it's the attempt to communicate. Because I really think you can accomplish the same thing with doing an EVP session. So I don't know, it's there again, it's your intent. What are you trying to bring out? Are you, and it's, so I don't know. The verdict, I've never used one though. It's like I want to, but I don't know if I was ever presented the opportunity to say, take a Ouija board in the basement of Collingwood.
Yeah.
Play with it. I don't know if I would or not.
If you asked me, do I want to use a Ouija board? I would tell you no. I have no desire to use a Ouija board. So
but not even out of curiosity.
Yeah, Adam. I told him,
I don't want to find out what I might find out.
Yeah, Adam is the only way he is allowed to play with the Ouija board. He has to be with Adam. That has been a stipulation for quite some time.
That's a good way to say it, Jerry. It's like, I don't think it's the big, monster in the room that everybody thinks it is, but what if it is?
Right. I'm not
you know what I mean?
I'm not willing
exactly.
to
I
play
don't
with
know.
it.
Yeah. So, Rachel has a Ouija board story. I went to a slumber when I was in school that a few girls were using one in an attic. I would not go up there, but something happened and the girls were freaking out crying. Yeah. See, that's
I want a house. I want a house with a walk-in attic. I never had one.
Yeah. That would be sweet. Well, there's one at the documentary that I'm working on.
Yeah.
There was that walk-in attic that I wouldn't go up.
Yeah.
What did Harold say? I found that people get excited and are not careful. Yeah, that's true too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Well, we had a teenager make one.
Yes. Yep.
That we had to bind and everything. We actually have it binded and everything behind us. So
we went and collected that one. They actually they had pretty detailed information on an entity that they were communicating with.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out, they it was a homemade one. They used the glass. It was, all for fun. But then all of a sudden some stuff started happening in the house. So that's another thing that Chris McKinnell says a lot, that you can actually manifest something. You know what I mean? Like you can start out with that homemade Ouija board, but by the end of your experience with it, you've actually manifested a spirit that's in your house and haunting you, because you've created that energy. You've brought it about when it wasn't there to begin with.
Well, didn't you and Harold talk about some kind of, always like to experiment something with the Ouija board, as far as there has to be a scientific way to see if it's actually moving by itself, right? Or something to that effect. I can't recall the specifics, but I think that was something that was talked about at some point.
Well, I know I did when I did my presentation in the class. There was actually only one scientific experiment that anybody's ever done on a Ouija board that I found online, and it was a Ouija board convention somewhere in Europe, I think Germany or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically, they somehow put cameras on people's eyes.
Yeah.
Yep. Directly on their eyes, and in every scenario, your brain is trying to create words. So even with two people, it'd be hard to get that first letter. But once you guys focused on that first letter, and it was always telegraphed, the second letter took a little harder time. But then after you get a couple letters, the word starts to be put together in your own minds. So you start, it was a really good, I wish I remembered the name of it and the link and all that stuff, but it was really good.
If we find it, we can put it on.
Yeah, it was a really good experiment. Yeah, you're moving it with your mind. But it's, but like I said, and I think it was a unusually high scientific number of people that they telegraphed it for sure. And the skeptical people didn't quite understand what was going on, but everybody that believes in Ouija boards was like, oh yeah, dude, that thing was going crazy. And so I don't know. It's crazy. Anybody else have any questions? we're probably getting close to. I mean, it's 8:07. We kind of started a little late.
Oh, we had
I
to
don't
start a couple times there
Yep, we
because the
go on
first
extended time.
video we had to start. The original one we had to start twice,
Yeah, so
and
if
then
you
we
guys
got
have joined
booted
late,
off.
yeah,
so.
we got a Facebook strike tonight for some stupid reason.
But now it's been removed.
Yep.
Once we started a second
But
broadcast,
it shut us down.
was-
It actually removed
yeah,
us.
it did remove us. So
I mean, it's not like I was talking about COVID
no,
or Kyle Rittenhouse.
and it was a music right, which we have the rights to because it's Jeff's brother that did it. So
Let's see. Ooh,
Ooh,
that's a good point there,
interesting.
Carmen.
Yeah,
It would be interesting to try it with a group of people without sight.
that
Which you
would
could
be-
actually create.
Well,
that.
because
you could put
you
the
could
ping pong balls
blindfold.
over your eyes.
Yeah,
Carmen,
That would
you
be
got my little brain
interesting.
working now. Me and Jerry are going to be like blindfolded in the closet doing a Ouija board. in
but
the
you have to have
basement of
somebody
college.
to
For
video
science,
it
yeah.
though too.
What's that?
You would have to make sure somebody's in there to video it though.
And protect us when we get attacked. like
Exactly.
Zozo. Oh, that's twice.
Yeah, no more.
Can't do it again.
No more Beetlejuice. Oh, that's twice on Beetlejuice too. Son
Stop
of a bitch.
it.
Well, it's not Candyman. We're okay as long as I won't say it again.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh shit. So what? Any other interesting places, Jerry, that you've been to or experiences or anything like that?
Again, no experience, but I did. My sister lives up in Maine, so we went to Fort Knox in Maine, which is a really cool fort that.
Adam.
Oh shit. We're not even going to play Adam's comment. Go ahead.
No, it's just another one of those places, an old fort from like Civil War era, with a lot of history and
Yeah.
old stone passageways, and it was just really cool. I wish I would have videoed. There's like it's a weird fort. It's like shaped like a hexagon, I think.
Yeah.
It's got like 6 sides or something, or 5 sides, and you can pretty much walk the entire wall all the way around,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. It's a pretty neat place, and I know that they have like paranormal investigations there, from what I found out. Doing some additional research, but I think a lot of those places just have so much.
Is that the one that has like the side building off away from the fort a little bit that stored all the gunpowder and the ammo and all that stuff?
I think so.
I believe so, yeah, because there's there's a couple different tunnels that lead down to like the beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or, like,
That was,
different
I
areas.
think they did it
Cannon
on
areas,
one
yeah.
of the show on
Yeah, we watched.
Haunted Destinations or whatever is it? It's where the 4 kids. I never.
Oh
can
yeah, Destination Fear.
Yeah,
Yep.
that one. I think they did
they
that
went
one.
there.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. It was a cool
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yep,
But
that's
that's what
actually the first fort that you were talking about. That's the one that I was thinking. So you've been to that one. Crazy. And
then,
you
like
said there was a place that you wanted to go and didn't, or found out about after you were there.
Yeah, like I said, my
once
wife
in a
and I-
lifetime place.
Yeah, we went to England for vacation, and we went to Nottingham Castle, and we walked back from Nottingham Castle to our hotel, and we walked right past. I think it's like, I looked it up. It's like something like the Jerusalem Trail, or it's some kind of pub
Yeah.
that's right next to the castle, and
Okay.
it's supposedly one of the most haunted places in that area of England. And we just
okay.
walked right on by it. Didn't even stop and get a pine or anything,
Yep,
because
or a
I didn't know any
souvenir.
better. Yeah, it was just naivety.
Yep,
Let's
yep.
not go about getting souvenirs from places.
No, we like our souvenirs.
Yeah.
Now that would be like, if I ever went to Europe, that would be so hard to separate the haunted stuff, because I would absolutely want to go to some
And
of
the
that stuff
history.
and the
Well, that's the
history
thing, too,
stuff
yeah.
and the culture
that's-
stuff. Like, I'd want to stay up for
My
24/7.
company, I've been to England a couple times for work, and our office was in High Wycombe, and High Wycombe is where the Hellfire Caves were. So
Okay.
I wanted some of my coworkers to go with me to the Hellfire Caves, and they're like, it's like it's in their backyard. They just think of it as like
It's
a
like
nothing.
weird little place
Yep.
that has some
Yep.
history. So it's like I couldn't get anyone to go with me.
I know my daughter she may have to get, and might get stationed overseas, and she's hoping for Germany, I think, so she can go. She's a huge history buff, and so World War II is a big area she loves. So I think that she would be in hog heaven
Yeah.
if she got to go to Germany. Now my other daughter hopes she gets Korea. And like, no, if you're gonna go anywhere, I'd like Germany, because you can go a lot of different places.
Yeah, it's called the Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem is the name of
Okay.
the pub.
Okay.
So, I'll have to do some more research on it.
Yep. Cool.
Because I think I saw it on one of those shows, like one of those
Yeah.
haunted places shows.
Yeah. Yep. There's
It's like, we're
there's so
just
many
there.
of them. You know, the funny thing too about those haunted shows is that I've, like, the couple that I've been involved with or know some behind the scenes stuff about, like the stories they tell really aren't even the best stories.
Yeah.
Like they've got, I don't know, some script written and they're filming for that script.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't like the first show I was on a show. It was on Animal Planet years ago. I was on for, 3 seconds, whatever, but I was on national TV. So I can put that in my credits. But they interviewed me for, it was 2 or 3 hours. But then they used a line that I said about something else and put me at a party that I didn't even know these people at that point. It was just the dumbest goddamn thing ever. And the stuff that they focused on in the show
Well,
was not even the coolest or most interesting things that happened.
look at Adam and Harold.
Yeah. Harold, my priest friend Harold, and Becky. Was
I need to track down that episode. I need to.
Yeah, it's
Harold post that episode. And then or Adam post yours as well.
With all the new licenses with the streaming services, it's hard to get.
It's in the one that's on Netflix. It's definitely
it
one of the
Netflix?
seasons.
it's like it's Netflix or Hulu. It's on one of those.
It's one
two.
of those seasons.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure they'll post them here. Adam and Harold both. But they but
It's
yeah, it was
funny,
God.
especially if you know Adam and Harold
Yep.
and Becky. It's so funny. It's that Adam one, I think, cracks me up.
Well, and if you know the real
the
owners,
Harold
too.
one does too. Yeah.
And the house that it was actually in.
Yeah.
Like, they put them out in this 45-acre farm out in the country where they live in
Huge
these
house.
little
It's
lots
just
in West
I
Toledo.
can't believe the media would lie to us with such
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
believe it.
fabrication.
And they
So-
were on a horse farm and everything. It's just like Toledo doesn't have horse farms in the
Right.
city like
Yep.
that.
Yep. So it's season 6, episode 6. And
So
the
then
show is
Harold,
Paranormal Survivor.
so then Adams is probably 1 or 2 episodes before that.
Yep.
I think Adams is episode 4.
In the house that he's talking about in that series, that's the one that I'm focused on now. And this, I mean, that's like I said, it's probably going to be 5-6 parts. It's going to be
You guys talked about it a lot in the class. I know
Mhm.
Yeah.
there was a lot
Yep.
of things that we talked about.
Yep.
Obviously
And
off the record.
it is a good but it's a good, like, okay, so granted there was a family that was really being harmed and this and that and the other thing, but like we really got to study the paranormal in this house. It's you investigate a place multiple times, and especially that 72-hour thing. Like, I mean, that was
That
never
even-
ever been able to do.
That
anything
even
like that.
took a toll on me. Well, besides me watching Boo, even me, I even was affected. And I really wasn't in that. I've only been in that house a handful of times.
Yep.
But even with their 72 hours, I just went a couple times during that 72 hours and had, same thing. It was
And like
just,
I said too, Harold can chime in on this, but that house has the ability to do things to you.
Mhm.
It has the ability to really affect you for real. It's not that place, like a lot of other times, like I said earlier, like I think it's the power of suggestion, or it might be mind games or something like that. But this house really does.
It affects
it
you.
can get you. And it's really like, I see the owner even today, and he's, in conversations with him, and I've already talked to him, so I have permission to, talk about this kind of stuff. But like in conversations with him, he'll consult the house as if it's a person, on major life decisions. It's like, well, the house kind of told me this, and it's not, I don't know, man. It's I've never seen anything like that. Like I said, I really think like the Amityville maybe could have been a case like that. Like the house
Yeah.
is a being.
I
or
mean,
an
'cause,
entity,
Like I said, I've only been in there a handful of times. Well, even after have started, became a member of Togs and doing the Boo stuff, I've only been in there a couple times, and it's just like that house just drains me.
Yep.
I'm just like, I come home and I'm just like drained, but I just feel so different when I come out of that house, and it's just, it just really,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like I said, it'll be a good story when I do it. And the owner wants me to tell the story right. And it's, there's a lot of darkness. It's, hang on, what's Harold saying?
I think
Yeah.
even Harold said it kept bringing him back. He wanted to go
Mhm.
back. He
Yep.
wanted to go
Oh,
back.
it does.
It does like draw you in. Even when you're on the outside of this house, it draws you in. There's something about the house that makes you want to go.
And
Well,
since
didn't Harold say he would drive by it? He would just find
Yeah.
himself driving by it when he was in the neighborhood, right?
I was just going to say that, like, since I've been working on this stuff and rewatching all that old footage, like I want to go over there so bad. It's weird. Yeah, he felt like he was losing it at times, and that's that's kind of how I felt too. Like,
Well, I laugh because at one time I even said up something to Jeff. I said, tell somebody's neck or something. I said, watch your
yeah.
necks or something.
Yes. And Harold had a hard time breathing.
Yeah, I said watch.
And she said it on the phone.
On the phone. It was like a few hours later, Harold was complaining about his neck hurting and not having a hard time. And I was like, hey, just watch your backs. Because something with watch your backs, like your chest, your back, and your neck. And I even said that it was like the same side that I don't remember what side it was now, but it was like I told it. And then the next day, Jeff's like, yeah, Harold's neck hurts and he's complaining neck hurting and he's having a hard time breathing. I'm like, okay.
So you guys chat for a minute. As I found on Chris McKinnell's show last night, it's very professional to get up and go pee at least once during the show. So I will be right back.
Always happens. So now that you've kind of got exposed with the class, we know that. So what kind of things do you really want to see investigating? I know Jeff kind of touched on it a little bit, but like for investigating, do you want to see, kind of experience how we do with the sensitive side, or do you strictly still want to just kind of go on the...
No, I think I just want to experience, have more experiences, I guess. Like I said, I really want to see what the reaction would be, right? I would like to think that if I was alone, I'm sure I would run away, right? It's almost like when you're in a group of people, you have a little bit more confidence, or I don't know, a little more steel maybe. But no, I just want to just try to experience some things. And like I said, Carmen and Adam and you have gotten me more interested in that, in the psychic side of things, or the
and it's funny because we all it's just crazy because I never thought I would ever be doing this years ago, but I know for Jeff, because Carmen and Adam and we all tell him to try meditation because that does open your senses up some, and so he just won't do it. He actually, because usually after you do some meditation, when you first still do it, you have crazy dreams. And so he gets the one night of crazy dreams. It's like after 3 nights of crazy dreams, you're done. It's just because it's trying to it's like blocking you from opening up. But then after that, you're perfectly fine. So he won't meditate. And it's but meditating does help to open up, to get you started to opening up, yourself, to be more aware and openness with it. So that's how I started. And it's surprisingly, I'm actually finding out more and more, and I'm getting more into.
So is it a door that you're happy that you opened? Or
oh
is it
yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, because that was I had a couple years. It was probably 6 months before I met Jeff. I had an awakening period where just everything was bombarding me, and it was just crazy for me. I was just having everything was over. I was oversensitive to everything. I could not go any place or anywhere without being feeling like I was being bombarded. I did a lot of changes. I made a lot of changes from it, and now it's opening new doors. Now I'm starting to do, I'm starting to get more into learning how to control a lot of the things that happen with everything. Thanks to Adam and Carmen, they're kind of guiding me on how to do things. But meditation's the big thing that I do a lot of meditation. So I'm still working on that, still finding out spirit guides. Everybody has spirit guides with them. It's just, you have to, when you're ready and when you're finally ready, you'll start opening those. I'm still discovering. I know one for sure. The second one, I'm pretty sure I got that one kind of figured out, but I'm slowly still opening those. But I've had a couple aha moments. Adam, it's funny because usually Adam will tell me, go meditate today. And it's funny because when he tells me it, that means that I need to go to my happy spot. And
he's one when you get a message from, it's
yeah,
shit,
Adam. When Adam says, hey, you might want to do this, I'm oh no, I will go do that today. I will, because then I know. But the last time it happened, it was funny because I was actually planning on going to the beach that day to go meditate. And I got a message from Adam just a little bit later, and it was hey, you might want to go meditate today.
The
And I'm
first-
like, ironically funny, that was what I was planning doing, was going to the
The
beach
first
and doing
message I ever got from Adam was, "Hey, are you doing okay?" my guides told me to call it or message you and check on you, and I'm like, "Shit, I'm gonna die. Something's gonna attack me." It's like I was legit freaked out. I was like, "Oh no," but no, it's all
And he gets panicked
He
though
does.
because
He watches over his friends, which
Yeah.
is a good trait.
yeah, and I mean, so what? But we always know if you get an Adam text, you always are like, "Hey, what's going on?"
And Harold, I see in the comments, was talking about how he broke his finger. So
Yeah, I
that's
think-
that's kind of
yeah.
a funny story. So
Adam asked
and
about
Adam
that.
was Adam was there that day. It was we did another blessing.
You actually hurt yourself too.
Yeah. So the one thing, the owner of the house, he was like, okay, so there's this dresser with a mirror upstairs, and Adam, like, he didn't like the mirror. He said, you guys got to take that, get rid of it. He didn't even know why, or didn't tell us why, or something like that. But he's like, you guys got to get rid of this thing. So we had already done our walkthrough and our blessing and all that. I don't think we did a blessing yet. I don't know. Maybe we did. Maybe we didn't.
No, you didn't do it
But-
yet.
So we go up to get the mirror. Me and Harold go in there, and of course, I got the video camera and go in there. We were getting ready to leave, and I was gathering up a recorder while Harold was getting the mirror ready, and the mirror like flings at him, like it was physically impossible for it to come forward. Like if it were to have fallen on its own, it would have gone backwards, just because of the way the setup was. So he's out there bitching, "Help, come help me." And I'm in another room, and there's a closet that connects the two rooms with two doors. So I go running through the closet to go help him, and I bashed my head on the freaking, the hanger bar. And I'm just like, boom. So I'm sitting there bitching, holding my head. He's bitching about his finger. This beer's laying on the ground. It didn't break.
No,
But it
and
was-
we actually, I was with Harold and Jeff when we got rid of that mirror.
Yeah. we
So,
took
because
it-
I had to make sure Adam knew that they actually did get rid of it the proper way.
yeah,
So
we
I
took
was
it to an
Adam's like, yes,
undisclosed
they did.
location and put it in the dumpster. We did not break it ourselves, because I
No.
think that's where the bad juju can come from. But if it breaks on its own, or somebody else breaks it, not
knowing
where it
it's
is,
there. Yeah.
then it's all
So,
good.
so yeah, we had to go on a little mission, and Adam told us what we did. We did it. And then we just made sure we documented it. So we had proof that we had gotten rid of that mirror. So
Well, I think we're down to 4 viewers now. We've been on for an hour and 7 minutes the second time.
time.
Mhm.
So I think we should probably wrap this up tonight. And so once again, thanks Jerry for coming on with us, and
Thanks
and
for
I
the
hope we
invite.
get
Yeah.
And
I hope we
welcome
get
to
get you
the
on
team.
a private case. I think you need to do one of those. It's
I'm
totally different than the public stuff.
Yeah.
So we got to get you on a private case sometime.
I'm reading up how to meditate.
Are you,
Oh yeah. There's actually, if you don't know how
are
to
you
meditate,
friends with Adam on
Just-
Facebook?
No, just an acquaintance.
Oh, dude, you
I
should
would
be-
say, yeah, that. But if you're not sure, there's there are some good YouTube videos to help, like there are guided meditation that are really good to start you off. Some people do sleep meditation. I do like a lot of sleep meditation, but I also meditate during the day at work because I need to a lot lately. I think I probably meditate more at work lately than I would like to admit.
No.
And as Adam will say, the bathroom sometimes is a really great place to meditate.
So yeah, you should
We'll look into that.
friend request him, and maybe he'll set you on the right path. So,
Yeah.
Sounds
anyway, we are going to end this tonight. Jerry, just stay in here and we'll chit chat a little bit.
Okay.
Hang on, what's Rachel always says something at the end. I can do guided sleep meditations as long as it's under an hour. Okay.
Usually, yeah. Most of them are 1 hour, 2 hours,
I don't know,
or
some
8
of them-
hours.
Some of them that you listen to are long. And
I already got
Yeah.
the crazy dreams, so I've been
Yeah.
I've been writing down my dreams the last couple months. So this is some
Yeah,
crazy
and
stuff.
like I said, the first couple of nights, if you do sleep meditation at night, like you do that, and then also that I will plug Adam this last time. One of the best ways to get yourself into a really good sleep as meditation is you focus on your breathing, and you start from a number and count backwards slowly. I usually start at 100. I don't think I've ever gotten to 80 or into the 80s ever. And I am like out cold, and I'm out the whole night. And I'm like, and then I do, and that's like, weirdly enough, a lot of times now my spirit guide, I'm starting to get my one spirit guide that comes to me when I do that countdown method. I'm trying to get a couple more on board that way now, but it does work.
I think it just hit me, like just right now, why I don't like those meditations. Because it reminds me of my mom was in hospice.
Mm.
And the video and the sound that they were playing in the room right before she passed away sounded just like those meditation videos.
Yeah, and that could
like
be
the music
Yeah.
and the droning sounds and the voice, and it was like walk into the light.
Yeah.
And it would play this, wee. It was just, but a lot of that sleep meditation just reminds me of that. So
That or
that's why-
it's like go to sleep. A lot of times I will fall asleep to crystal, the crystal bowls, or the Tibetan bowls.
Yeah.
That
those tones.
the tones, yeah. And then the newest thing I started doing is though you can listen to frequencies to meditate. That one's kind of interesting because you listen to certain frequencies and it affects females and women differently on how you meditate. And so, because Jeff and I have had a discussion on this, because when we're listening to EVPs and that, a lot of times I hear something totally different than he hears, or sometimes I hear it and he doesn't, and I'm like, I know it's right there. And so it's very
That's
interesting.
definitely a whole can of worms we probably should talk about.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
whole
so
nother topic, it sounds like.
Yeah, the EVP listening and how
Yeah.
people hear things.
So Adam says he does live. I didn't know you did live guided meditations. I don't think I've ever seen one. Maybe. Well, have you recently done one? I know you've done the flutes. Oh, that puts me to sleep listening to the flutes.
It's definitely nap time for me.
Oh, it's like
Turn it on
that's
5 minutes later.
The flutes put me to sleep, but I love listening to Adam play the flutes. That's it's privately. Gotcha,
okay.
gotcha. I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen you do that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I mean, he's definitely a good resource. Carmen is too.
yep.
Which both of them, and Adam said hit him up on Facebook. So
Yeah, I saw that.
Also,
Yep.
yep, Reiki sessions too, or on chakra
we're not
alignment.
talking about Reiki this week
Why?
because
Why?
last week it didn't go so well.
What do you mean?
I thought somebody was joking and they weren't, and I felt
Oh.
really bad for like 3 days.
Yeah,
we're not
but
talking about it.
Reiki, that though, Adam and I haven't had a Reiki session with Adam yet, but Carmen usually does my Reiki, and that kind of helps to line you up and helps you. She'll give you guidance of what like things that you should work on, and that works as well. Because I'm like, I've gone to her a couple times, and finally I've got myself together. So I'm like,
But the interesting thing is too, like I've done a session like that with Carmen too. It's not a lot of like what mediums say is general good life advice. You know what I mean? So I guess you know that you're dealing with somebody that's actually legit when they specifically tell you things that they don't know about. You know what I'm saying? And then you need to work on this because it's like, shit, no one else knows that.
Yeah, I proof is with Carmen. The first time, I mean, Carmen and I knew each other, but Carmen had never done a Reiki on me, or she didn't know a lot about my past. And my first Reiki session with her, she actually came on my one side. She kneeled down, and she, for some reason, she felt like kneeling, and she kept seeing a male figure there. And so then after the Reiki session, we were talking, and I said, yeah, I lost a son when I was 6 months pregnant, and his name was Neil. And she said that probably made sense because she was on my male side. And she just said for some reason she felt like kneeling. And then this last session that I had with her, crazy enough, because nobody could come out of anywhere. It was a couple days before the wedding, and Carmen actually said, we were in the Reiki session, and Carmen there was this banging that kept going on, and Carmen was like, hey, that's your grandma. And she says something about pierogies. It was like, who would literally come up
We
with the
love
word
us our
pierogies?
pierogies in this family.
And so, but we literally were making pierogies that day. And so she wanted to make sure that we knew she was there making the pierogies. And then I believe my uncle was stepping in there too. And then, my uncle said he approved the what I picked for my flowers was what he would have picked. So
I mean, he was a gardener.
he was a
Professional
big gardener and into the flowers and all that. So
Again, I think we could probably do this all night.
yep, I
So
know.
we might as well wrap it up. And
You should be writing down these topics for your future shows.
Yeah.
So
So, a lot of times, to be honest with you, a lot of times my protocol the next day, like tomorrow, I'll listen to this at work, and that's when I make notes and things like that because
very good.
it's a self-analyzing thing. Like I want to see where I screwed up, where I could have done
How many
better.
times you said,
blah, blah. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
I probably
Yep.
say it more than anybody else.
No,
So
I don't know. I'm bad.
I had a
at it.
class on that, so hopefully I didn't say too many.
No, I think you're very. You can tell
You slow,
you're very
you slow
familiar with
yourself
the-
down. You slow yourself
I'm
down.
ADD,
and
so I don't.
You can tell you're very comfortable being on the computer meeting stuff.
I'm in a lot of meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will see you later. And we're not obviously Thanksgiving is next week, so we won't be on.
No.
But we do have it. I got another really, really big guest that I'm talking to. His name is Bishop James something. And I don't know if he's going to come
Adam
on or not, but
knows, or not Adam. Rachel
yeah,
knows.
Rachel
doesn't she?
knows. Yep. So we're chatting, and hopefully we can get this guy on. So good night, everybody. We will talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Happy
Goodbye.
trails.